names are Sydney, Talia, Olivia, Chelsea, and Jacob, and we are performing research on exercise and consumer behaviors in college students during the COVID-19 pandemic. Let's start with an introduction.
Ever since the COVID-19 pandemic has happened, everyone's lifestyle behaviors have been affected, such as physical activity and consumer behavior habits. Our three subtopics are exercise behaviors during the COVID-19 pandemic, consumer behaviors with respect to food choices and habits, and as well as college students and loss of motivation. In our exercise behavior subtopic, Gallo found that there was a decrease in physical activity even in such mild exercising like walking. With consumer behaviors with respect to food choices and habits, a study we found was that Scarmazzino and Viciolo found that due to the lockdown, an increase in food consumption was because of increased stress, anxiety, and boredom during quarantine, which has affected students' dietary habits. And in college students and loss of motivation, Barkley found that the effects the pandemic had on college students who had a decrease in physical activity and an increase in sedentary behavior since their transition to quarantine. With this in mind, our study wanted to focus on how the impact the pandemic had on the amount of physical activity and consumer habits on college students during spring 2020 to 2021.
Our group conducted interviews with participants including 4 males and 6 females ranging in age from 19 to 26 years old. Participants were chosen based on the criteria that they are either current undergraduate students majoring in kinesiology or that they are students enrolled in at least one kinesiology course at San Francisco State University. Interviews were conducted one-on-one over Zoom, where participants were asked to answer 6 open-ended qualitative research questions that each contained a series of sub-questions in order to gain more data and have the participant elaborate as much as possible on their answers. Questions were asked regarding the participants' exercise and consumer behavior or food habits pre-pandemic and during the pandemic. This was done in order to get an understanding of how college students' habits have changed from spring of 2020 to spring of 2021. Once interviews were completed, our group conducted a qualitative analysis of the data that involved the Zoom interviews being transcribed word for word onto a readable document, as well as coding for themes. This was done by all group members reading through each interview transcript and highlighting noticeable patterns that were able to be condensed into common themes.
We learned that our participants found more time for exercise during the pandemic. Most of our participants are commuters, so when remote learning started, their commuting time decreased significantly since they were not traveling to school. As a result, their time for exercise increased. Participant 10 feels more relaxed and has more energy, especially since he's at the comfort at his own home. Participant 4 gained more time for exercise, sometimes 2 to 3 hours. In addition, participant 5 got so bored at home that she just wanted to move. In conclusion, exercise and physical activity increased because of remote learning.
The second recurring theme that we discovered through our interviews was that participants found more time for healthier eating during the pandemic. More specifically, we noticed that healthy eating became more accessible after the initial transition stages of adjusting to the pandemic. We found that since they weren't commuting to and from school, they were spending more time at home, especially during their school day. This gave participants more time to look into healthier food options and work on better eating habits.
While analyzing the data, we found that our interviewees experienced a loss of motivation to participate in physical activity during the early stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. With the introduction of the pandemic, it has altered the way many individuals incorporate physical activity in their everyday lives. Participant 10 stated that they experienced a lack of motivation to work out at home because it just wasn't giving them the satisfaction that being in the gym setting would. In addition to gym closures, not having the adequate exercise equipment led to participant 8 becoming discouraged to exercise. We found that a loss of motivation during the early stages led to our participants gaining weight and becoming lazy and tired. All these factors have led to our participants not wanting to engage in any sort of physical activity during the beginning stages of the pandemic.
When comparing our findings to the literature review, Differences and similarities are exhibited between each subtopic. With regards to exercise behavior, our findings saw an increase of exercise during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, when viewing the literature review, participants in Gallo et al. Study exhibits different results, with male and female college students having a decrease in mild exercise. Furthermore, consumer behavior had a greater difference between our findings and the literature review. Our findings had an increase of healthier food choices and habits amidst the pandemic. In comparison, a study done by Scarmozino and Viciolo recorded a 42.7 diet variation within participants recorded. In addition, 46.1 saw an increase in food consumption. Lastly, motivation played a key role in regards to physical activity. The literature review presented found that college students had a lack of motivation due to isolation. And a study by Meher et al. Exhibited a decrease in motivation by 50% in engaging in physical activity due to lack of resources and accessibility to gyms. Our goal was to analyze the effects of the pandemic with regards to exercise and consumer behavior and motivation through qualitative research. Our findings exhibited improved physical activity engagement and healthier eating behaviors. However, in the beginning, motivation was lacking, but engagement in these behaviors steadily increased. The key role of the improvement for these factors was the availability of time. Remote learning has increased the free time our participants had to engage in these activities.
Here is a list of references used in this video presentation. If you have any questions for us, please ask them in the comments section. Thank you for watching our presentation.